If you came here looking for an inexpensive and elemental cruiser intended for quick rips through town, you've come to the wrong place. Harley-Davidson could have built that bike, but it chose not to. And while the Sportster S will gladly shuttle you from stoplight to stoplight, then home again, Harley-Davidson always intended for this bike to be something more than that. In this video, we decided it is a time to check in with the Sportster S and understand what it's like living with Harley-Davidson's most performance-oriented cruiser. Stylistically, the Sportster S 2023 makes a statement. If looking at what's new, you can effectively look at the entire package. Sportster S have, for the most part, seen relatively little in the way of drastic updates and changes over the years. In fact, some would say this is no longer a Sportster at all, and is a step away from the old, with new style and direction for the name. Quotes from the Harley-Davidson themselves would agree, stating in 2021 that this is just the tip of the iceberg. So looking at this latest edition of Sportster S, as it sits low to the ground with an aggressive posture, your gaze is first drawn to the overall size of everything, for better or worse. Huge Sportster-specific Dunlop GT, 503 wheels front and rear, the plus-size exhaust wrapped high around the offside of the bike, then to that massive Revolution Max 1250T V-twin. It's a bike that excels in minimal details with excess proportions, like the fuel tank, relatively small at 11.8 liters, yet seems to stretch out and occupy the entire length of the bike. You have a smart and old-school-looking circular dash that is actually a full TFT with smartphone and headset connectivity. There are the full rider modes with custom A and B modes, advanced rider aids, and generally a good mix of classic style and heritage, plus modern rider essentials and style, and that oh-so-important ability to put a stupidly big smile on your face with trademark V-twin pulls through the rev range. In short, there's a lot new on the Sportster S. It takes the iconic name and builds on it with modern tech, but doesn't lose the character that all Harley-Davidsons seem to thrive on. Price and availability, though initially introduced as an entry-level option for Harley-Davidson fans in 2021, the 2023 Sportster S is no longer the cheapest in the current lineup with prices starting at $16399. You have 4 color options for the 2023 Sportster S. We had it in vivid black, plus options of white, gray, or blue for an extra $450 to the price tag. In all honesty, I think the black looks stunning for this bike. Worth noting that this bike also came with the Weekender package kit fitted, an additional extra which gives the Sportster pillion capability with pillion seat, backrest, pillion pegs, though the accessories can add a huge premium on top. Revolution Max 1250T engine. Housed as a stressed member to maximize weight savings, it's 228 kilograms wet, plus sharpening ride feel. The liquid-cooled 1250T Revolution Max V-twin provides a meaty and torque-rich 121 bhp at 7,500 revolutions per minute. Though the same engine as found in the Pan America, on paper, it is comparatively down on power and torque. But when jumping between the two, it feels quicker on its, admittedly huge feet, and more responsive to your inputs. The engine is quite possibly the crowning glory of this bike. Using it daily from commutes to weekend jaunts, it was ultimately a stupid amount of fun to head out for rides on the regular mornings, evenings, weekends. I just wanted to always go for one more spin. That's ultimately how riding should be. Torque is delivered by the shovel load, all from low down, and whilst gears did feel a tad short, and it took a minute to get used to the intricacies of working that power through the belt drive to huge hoops, once it all clicks, it's a beautiful place to be. When you open the throttle and get into the higher rev range, it all just clicks, and you're screaming along in utter bliss. A standing beauty, Harley-Davidson's Sportster. At a standstill, the muscle cruiser aesthetic is on full show. It sits mean and low to the ground, with a wide bar with good bar end mirrors and low 753mm seat. You have 34 degrees of lean either side, and the wheelbase is 1,518 mm. Riding position is certainly interesting. You feel extremely low to the ground, yet still on top of the bike. When moving with your feet stretched out in front of you, everything collectively supplies that characteristic aggressive Harley riding position, particularly when you're pushing on and rocketing towards triple digits. One interesting accessory would be the swap to standard pegs below your seat, as opposed to the feet-forward setup. That would really alter the ride feel and perhaps give it a more flat-track style, where you have a tad more control when leaning those big wheels over. Suspension, chassis, brakes. Suspension comes in the form of fully adjustable from Showa front, which have 43mm inverted fork with compression, rebound and spring preload adjustability with aluminum fork, triple clamps, and rear is linkage mounted, piggyback monoshock with compression, rebound, and hydraulic spring preload adjustability. It's top spec, but feels rock solid as it has such little room to play with, just 92mm at the front and 37mm rear, plus 90mm ground clearance. The feeling can be akin to a Ryanair landing, which for the uninitiated is often slamming the plane on the ground and hoping it sticks. You certainly feel one with the road, and the Sportster S makes sure you feel exactly that. When the going gets tough, you definitely know about it. Though responsive and sporty, being what the Bar and Shield brand were aiming for, it feels like a trade-off is made between sleek stance on the road and rider comfort. Adjustments can be made, and there is more theoretical travel when combined with the XL wheels, which, as mentioned, take a bit of getting used to, and it just feels like one small bump can be exacerbated into an out-of-seat problem if you have neglected to twist the 40-step rear preload the right direction. Braking power from the Brembo system is overall great, alongside top-spec rider safety electronics like cornering traction control and ABS, but it's a single 320mm disc up front with radially mounted monoblock 4-pot caliper, as opposed to a twin disc, an odd omission in my mind. Though it performs well alongside the 260mm disc plus 2-piston floating caliper at the rear, it just pulls to one side a touch under heavy braking from the front. Span adjustable levers are always a welcome addition, as seen here. Modern classic cruiser features. Full rider aids and tech includes cornering-specific ABS, traction control with dedicated button, drag torque slip control, enhanced wheel lift mitigation, TPMS, cruise control, and those configurable rider modes to really get what you want from the bike. On the display, it doesn't show your live consumption figures, just a fairly accurate range remaining if you drive consistently and sensibly. It can be a pain to get your phone and intercom connected to the bike, but it'll do it once you suss it out, with dedicated buttons for music control on the right switchgear. Speaking of, navigating the TFT display feels a tad overly complicated, with some buttons that seemingly do little over using the direction arrows on the left-hand side. It just feels a bit cluttered. A home button is a nice feature, mind, particularly if using the turn-by-turn navigations via the phone app, and you can view things like current time, a gear indicator, odometer, and a few options to have a look through, and an accessory USB-C plug. Harley-Davidson Sportster S verdict. Harley-Davidson released the Sportster S as a look into a modern cruiser world with the stunning Revolution Max 1250T motor stuck into a low-slung cruiser package. It's tech-heavy, providing a fast and hard ride, but does come a tad unstuck if you really delve into the finite details of what a motorcycle should be. Ultimately, a motorcycle can be whatever it wants to be, and this cruiser does have a sporty edge that performs well on the road, fulfilling everything you'd want for it. I wouldn't say it's a sporty bike, more of a cruiser with that modern sporty edge, but given the feet-forward riding and huge tires, It'll never be a sporty bike in this format. Is it any good and would you buy this bike?